So, in case you didn't know, the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And it is also Borderline Personality Disorder Awareness Month. So many words. And I struggle with borderline personality disorder. This is a huge part of my identity, but it is not the only part of my identity. And I want to take time to make a video and talk about borderline personality disorder, what it is, how it has affected me, how you can help people who have borderline personality disorder, if you have borderline personality disorder, how you can help yourself, and resources if you are feeling stressed or disoriented or depressed about anything else that you might be struggling with. I'll have all the links below. So let's talk about it. I have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder since the end of my senior year of college. I saw a counselor for the whole year, and right before I graduated, he asked me if I had ever heard of borderline personality disorder before. I was like, that sounds horrifying. What is that? And it used to be called multiple personality disorder, and they changed it to borderline personality disorder, which I think is way better, because if I was diagnosed with multiple personality disorder, I would feel I don't like it. So I am better with BPD. But he gave me a checklist and said, if you have at least 5 of these symptoms, I think that you might have borderline personality disorder. And this really scared me because I had all of them. And it felt different than having depression or anxiety, because I feel like a lot of people talk about dealing with depression and dealing with anxiety, and it was like this open-ish topic that people could share, like, oh, I dealt with depression, or I dealt with anxiety, and I'm depressed, and I'm anxious, and these were words that were very frequently said. I never heard borderline personality disorder. That wasn't a part of my life. It wasn't part of my brain. And so once I was presented with this thing that I could be, and I'd never heard it before, it was very isolating, and I felt very alone and scared. Since then, I have learned how to have it be a part of me, a part, not a whole. It's not my whole self, but it definitely is a part of who I am. It is a weakness and a strength, and I've made it a huge part of my life to understand the ins and outs of it. So let's talk a little bit about what exactly it is. I don't have like the most articulate way to say it. So I am reading offline a fancier way to say it. So it's also known as emotion dysregulation, and it is a problem characterized by quick, frequent, and painful mood swings that are beyond the control of the person struggling with the problem. These mood swings affect a person's relationships, behaviors, beliefs, and sense of self. So a lot of people will confuse BPD with bipolar. And the biggest difference that I see is the length of episodes. For me, I would say that I have about 10 to 15 episodes a day. What that looks like for me is they can be anywhere from 15 seconds to 5 minutes to an hour to a certain amount of time that I'm doing something, whether it is this car ride was the entire length of an episode, this time in the grocery store, the whole time it was an episode. It can be a whole morning, but it is very rapid, very startling, and it ends as quickly as it begins, which is also very jarring. So I'm going to read the checklist. There are many different kinds of checklists that have different worded things, but this one is just an example of it. If you have at least 5, then you may have this illness. Regularly feeling hollow or empty inside, frequent uncontrollable anger, recurrent and intense mood changes, unstable relationships that change quickly and often, unstable self-image that changes quickly and often, engaging in impulsive, dangerous behavior like self-mutilation, cutting, unsafe sex, shopping sprees, drug and alcohol use, or driving at unsafe speeds, recurrent thoughts of suicide or suicide attempts, frequent fears that others will abandon you or reject you, which causes you to try and prevent it somehow. For example, you leave them first. Occasional thoughts that others are out to get you, and occasional feelings that you're outside of your body. So if you have at least 5, I almost have all of them. I don't have all of them all of the time, but they are definitely all a part of my life at some point when I am in a place where BPD is very active. What an episode looks like for me, it usually will begin with something that triggers black and white thinking. Black and white thinking is a very common way of processing the world for somebody with BPD, which means you are either perfect or awful. It is either hot or cold. You are either pretty or ugly. You are either having a great day or an awful day. There's no space for gray. You're either elated and fucking love everything, or you are devastated. There's no middle. I remember my college counselor asked me once, "Have you ever been sad before?" And I looked at him like, "Are you kidding me? I'm sad all the time. That's why I'm here." And he goes, "No, you're devastated. Have you ever been sad? What does being sad feel like?" And I couldn't answer him. I didn't know what being sad felt like because I wasn't sad ever. I was always the extreme of either everything's awesome or everything's awful. There's also a symptom called dissociating, which is that last one when it talks about an out-of-body experience. When I'm having a very intense episode, this will happen where it's almost like I'm watching myself experience the episode, but I'm not connected to the experience. So sometimes I will spiral, and I'll have thought spirals and word spirals where I'll be like, "I can't do it, I don't want to do it anymore, everything's awful, there's no way out, da, 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 da," and I'll go deep, deep, deep into the rabbit hole. But my thoughts will literally be like, "Siona, that's not true. Siona, you're fine." But I can't connect that with what I'm actually saying and what I'm actually doing. And then at the end, when I come back to my body, I feel exhausted and I feel hungover and I almost forget what happened and what I was saying and what I was doing. So it's a lot. Not every episode is like that. I know I said I have 10 to 15 a day, but an episode for me could be I raise my voice at somebody. Sure. Or I snap at somebody because I have that anger spurt. And I will recognize that is not a reflection of who I truly am. And then I will feel guilty for it, and then I will shame myself for it, and then I will say that I don't deserve X, Y, and Z, and then I will rise above it and say, "No, you're better than this moment, and everything is going to be fine because I'm better than this." And all of that can happen in 15 seconds. So it's like, I did a thing, I hate it, but I'm going to be better, and it's fine. It can be that quick. Or sometimes it can be slower than that. If it's a 5-minute thing or an hour thing. It's It's very hard to constantly be aware of yourself all the time. I feel like I can never relax, and it's terrible. But at the same time, BPD, because it is a very vulnerable illness, and I have to know myself really well, this illness doesn't really give me a choice. I have learned to be a very open person and a very empathetic person, and I had to think of a lot of ways to have coping skills, and those coping skills had to come from a creative and unique place that was specific to me, which allowed me to ideally give those solutions to other people who are struggling. And I think BPD also allows me to be very open in my poetry. It allows me to be very open in my music. I just cracked my finger. That was not on purpose. This hurts a lot. Oh my God. Ah! Okay, wait. Everybody needs to relax for a second. So I also wanted to read. What did I want? Oh. The pause. I wanted to talk about this book. It's backwards, but this is the Dialectical Behavioral Therapy Skills Workbook. This is my Bible. Dialectical Behavioral Therapy saved my life. This whole book teaches you about coping skills. It teaches you how to deal with your episodes. It teaches you about emotion regulation, and it teaches you about yourself. It teaches you how to be mindful and practice mindfulness. It teaches you about radical acceptance, and it teaches you about wise mind and controlling the monkey brain. I mean, like, everything. Like, you can do it on your own. I don't even have to pay for therapy to use this book. I pay for therapy in other places, but not this. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, or you can order it online from Amazon. It's so good. It's so good. DBT is amazing for people with BPD. Also, it can be very disheartening when you're told that there is no cure for BPD. And doctors will refuse you as a client if you tell them that if you have BPD sometimes, because doctors don't want to deal with it. You can also be denied medication for BPD because there is no medication for BPD. So it feels like work all the time, and it can be a very isolating illness. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a death sentence. Yes, it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work to live with this illness. And it can scare people, and it can push people away, and it can push yourself away from you, and it can make identity really difficult because you feel like you're never the same person for 24 hours, so who are you? But it is what it is. And I have been very sad when I think about who would I be if I didn't have BPD? Because I've done a lot of self-love work and self-reflection work and become a person that I'm really, really proud of and somebody that I really, really like. So when my illness takes over sometimes, I watch this person that I love disappear. And it is hard. And it's a lot to remind myself that I will come back and that it is just an episode and it is not going to last forever. And this isn't who I am, because I'm also a writer and I'm an artist and I'm a singer and I'm a friend and I'm a lover and I'm a teacher and I'm going to one day be a mother. And let's talk about the mom thing for a second. I am so scared to be a mom with BPD because I would never want to be inconsistent with my children. So that's a really, really scary gamble for me, that I am learning how to think about that. It is a journey. But for me, and I'm going to end with, I know I've been talking a lot. I hope some of this was useful or insightful. If not, sorry. But thank you for watching if you're still in it with me. To help somebody with BPD, I think it is extremely important to make sure that you never think that their feelings are invalid. I love when people tell me that what I'm feeling is valid and that, yes, like, this is a really scary moment. Yes, this is really hard. Or telling me, not telling me to breathe. I mean, like, yes, like, if you're actively like, okay, like, let's breathe together, let's slow down for a second. But if it's like you need to relax, like, just breathe for a second, like, it's not helpful. Totally not a useful thing to say. Or calm down. Oh, I can't do it. But patience, being aware that there is this I hate you, don't leave me mentality sometimes. But at the same time, know that we're more than that. People with BPD are so much more than just this. And I work for a blog called borderlinebravery.com. If you would like to go to that site, you can check out a lot more resources and information that might be a little bit more articulate than what I'm doing right now. And if you are struggling, the suicide hotline number is 844-359-6685. That is 844-359-6685. This is not, what? There are so many numbers. I think I gave you Pennsylvania. There's also 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. Do not feel ashamed for whatever illness you have, whatever mental health issues you are struggling with. You are enough. You matter. You should be here. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it gets better, because let me tell you, things have been really bad. Like, things were really great and really bad and really great and really bad, and that is just life. But if you get sick, if you break a bone, you go to a doctor and it gets fixed. And if you break a bone again, you can't be mad at yourself and refuse to go to a doctor because you've already been through it. Like, I've already been to a doctor about a broken bone. I'm not going to go again. Like, no, like, take care of it. It happens. Episodes happen. Hospitalizations happen. I have been hospitalized for this and other things, like, I want to say 5 times. And I am still here. That's the part of the story that I want you to remember. As much as I deal with these ups and downs, and as much as I curl up in a ball and don't want to leave my house sometimes, I struggle with other mental illnesses that I'm not talking about right now. Things like maladaptive daydreaming, or ADD, or slight body dysmorphia. I chose to stay. And I really hope you choose to stay too. If you want to reach out to me or talk to me about BPD or anything else, please feel free to do so. You're worth it. You matter.